Channel open. Welcome back to WeeklyTrek, a proud member of the Tricorder Transmissions podcast network and presented in partnership with TrekCore.com. I am your host, Alex Perry.
What's today's date? The date.
Today's show was recorded on January 21st, 2022, and is current through the Star Trek Prodigy episode Time Amok, so beware of spoilers. And if you are in one of the regions where Star Trek Discovery or Star Trek Prodigy has not yet aired and you are trying to stay spoiler-free, be sure to check the episode article on TrekCore for time codes for each of our stories tonight in order to avoid them. All right, let's get into the show.
Good day, Voyager, and welcome to A Briefing with Neelix. It's a catchy title, isn't it?
WeeklyTrek is a regular news show covering the biggest stories from the Star Trek franchise. We are in a new golden age of Star Trek. There are 5 television shows in production, possibly more on the way, and enough merchandise to fill the Bajoran wormhole. So stick with me and I'll help you sort the real facts from a lot of the Dominion propaganda that you'll find online. But I can't do this alone. And my guest this week is the host of the enterprising individual Star Trek podcast and the creative head of the Just Enough Trope podcast network. It's Aaron Coker. Aaron, welcome to WeeklyTrek.
Hi, it's great to be here.
All right, Aaron. Well, I ask my guests this question every week. I want to know something that's got you feeling good about Star Trek at the moment. What's got you moving at Warp 10?
Well, what's got me moving at Warp 10 is both a Star Trek thing and something else.
Okay.
And that thing or person is Narain Shankar. He's the executive producer and showrunner of The Expanse, which has just wrapped its 6th and final season.
Yep.
And of course, he's got a long history with Star Trek. He got to start as a writer's assistant and a scientific consultant on TNG, and also consulted on DS9 and Voyager, and went on to be a producer and writer on one of my favorite sci-fi shows, Farscape, as well as writing for Grimm and The Outer Limits, and was on CSI for a long, long time, and is currently doing For All Mankind on Apple Plus. So if I just followed this guy around in his career and watched only the shows that he's worked on, I'd have a wealth of great sci-fi and genre TV to watch. And he's got his doctorate in physics and electrical engineering as well. So I'm just glad that he's one of the many, many talented and smart people who work on shows like Star Trek.
And does not get the same level of credit, which he should, as your Ronald D. Moores and your Brannon Bragas. I think that my first exposure to Naren was on the TNG Blu-rays where they had the writers roundtable. And he was really great on that. And as you say, I mean, he's gone on to make some really, really terrific television shows.
And you can always tell who Ronald D. Moore respects as he goes on and keeps making show after show. You see some of those names pop up that he worked with on Star Trek or DS9 or something like that. And so, he tries to keep the talented people with him. And I think he's definitely one of those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
He and everybody at The Expanse stuck the landing of The Expanse as well. I really enjoyed the finale of that.
I am a little behind. I haven't watched this most recent season, but I love the show. Partially, I don't like having to. It's one of those shows, Star Trek I'll watch every week, and I have to watch it as soon as possible. But The Expanse is one of those shows where I didn't like the week-to-week experience, so I was waiting to binge it all. So now it's over. I can just watch it straight through.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's what I'm feeling good about Star Trek this week, which is that actually got one of my theories right from last week's episode. I said that I thought that we were getting very close to Playmates Toys revealing a first look at their new line of Star Trek toys. They picked up the license again last year to start doing Star Trek toys again after, with the exception of a brief return to it for the Star Trek 2009 movie. The less said about which, the better. Obviously, the sort of titans of 1990s Star Trek merchandising. And the very next day after the episode dropped, Playmates said, so that was Tuesday, Playmates said they were 6 days away from showing us the first look. So actually, by the time people hear this on Monday, the news should already be out, and we should already kind of have a sense of what the first sort of line of product from Playmates is. And obviously there's a ton of really cool and exciting Star Trek stuff for us to talk about this week in terms of television, but I did want to dwell for a second on the fact that next week's not going to be too shabby either, with our first look at Playmates' products back in the Star Trek universe after quite some time away.
Yeah, that's really great news. I know a lot of people that's going to make really happy. For myself, I only have a couple Playmates figures. I've got, who do I have? I've got Mutant Tom Paris.
Oh, I mean, a classic. You have to have a Mutant Tom Paris.
And I've got Edith Keeler. and I have a little bus that I park over her. But otherwise, I don't have a lot of Playmates toys. I'd get a Kevin Uxbridge if they ever made one of those.
I mean, the way they were going in the 90s, it felt like they were...
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't reach that.
Right. Kevin Uxbridge must have been pretty high up on the list of characters left to make from the next generation.
I looked for a Dowd figure. I couldn't find one anywhere.
Well, who knows? I mean, they're back at it now. Once they get through, your Prodigy and Discovery main characters, maybe your wishes will be fulfilled.
I hope so.
All right. Well, with that, let's turn to the week's top stories.
There's a war going on, and I'm a reporter.
I love a nice surprise week for big Star Trek news, and this week was a delightful surprise week for big Star Trek news. On Tuesday, Viacom CBS made a number of announcements about most of the 5 currently airing Star Trek shows, including premiere dates and some season renewals. The only show that did not get an announcement this week was Star Trek Prodigy, which we already know has been renewed for a 20-episode second season, and that the back 10 episodes of season 1 will be airing later this year. But for the other Star Trek shows, let's take the news in order. First, Star Trek Discovery has been renewed for a 10-episode 5th season. The shortened season order is likely a result of Viacom CBS withdrawing from their contractual arrangement with Netflix and wanting to align the show with the other live-action Star Treks, which all currently have 10-episode seasons. Star Trek Picard Season 2 will premiere March 3rd, 2022. That is slightly later than the originally announced February release date for Picard, but not as late as it could have been. Picard's first 3 Season 2 episodes will air alongside the last 3 episodes of Discovery's 4th season. In addition to the North American release date, Amazon Prime have confirmed they are the international distributor for Star Trek Picard and will begin airing the season on March 4, 2022. So no Star Trek Discovery Season 4 Netflix situation going on with Picard, which is great. Following Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Strange New Worlds will debut its series premiere on May 5th, 2022 for its inaugural 10-episode season. And good news for the Captain Pike show, the series has already been renewed for a second season of 10 episodes, confirming rumors that the cast is heading back to Toronto this spring to begin filming on season 2. And if that wasn't enough, while we're all looking forward to season 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks sometime this summer, Viacom CBS have confirmed we have a 4th season of Lower Decks to also look forward to, as the show has been renewed for another year. New seasons for Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and Lower Decks, in addition to premiere dates for Picard and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Aaron, how does this deluge of Star Trek news have you feeling?
It's quite a drop of news, isn't it? It's amazing news. And I was talking to one of my broadcasting partners. We do a live show on Thursdays where we talk about the new episode of Trek that came out on Paramount Plus. And it started as just covering Discovery, right, in 2017. Mm-hmm. And here we are in 2022. And we kind of joked about last year's big 23 weeks of Trek run and how we were going to get through it. And now here we are already 13 weeks into a run of Trek that ostensibly will take us to the end of the year and beyond. And I mean, it's almost too much to contemplate. It's just, Viacom CBS and Alex Kurtzman making it look easy. I don't know a lot about making TV, and I know the business has changed a lot since the days of having TNG and even DS9 and Voyager on at the same time. But apparently all you had to do was just produce 5 series simultaneously, no sweat. It's great news.
Yeah, with the exception of 1 week in between the season finale of Lower Decks and the series premiere of Prodigy, we've had new Star Trek every week since I think the 2nd week in August, and it's now going to run all the way through July, which is when Strange New Worlds' first season will wrap up, and maybe we'll get a couple of weeks off, and then August I expect is when Lower Decks will drop, and we'll be right back into it, and Prodigy will take up the back half of the year, and then I would expect Star Trek Picard season 3 probably early in 2023, as that next one. So I mean, we're already sort of half a year into pretty much constant and consistent Star Trek, and as you say, it's now set to run through the rest of this year and beyond, because once they get back to filming for Strange New Worlds, which we know is coming up in the next couple of months, for Discovery maybe later in the spring when they go back to Toronto to start filming, that keeps things in the pipeline. And 5 shows and 20 more episodes of Prodigy coming. I mean, they've got almost 40 episodes scheduled to come already. They're, and Lower Decks just had its 40th episode confirmed, so Prodigy's really pumping them out. It's a lot of Star Trek. I mean, it's all good, it's all great, and I like the fact that the shows are all very different from each other, right? I think some people look at those kind of announcements and they go, ooh, is this, are we running the risk of franchise fatigue? Is this too much Star Trek? And maybe, I mean, we'll see, right? Like, how do we feel 12, 18, 24 months from now about this sort of period of time? But right now, I'm very happy and comfortable that my Prodigy experience is very different from my Discovery experience, which is very different from my Lower Decks experience. And it's not samey in the way that maybe a Deep Space Nine and a Voyager, as much as I love those shows, very much a shared production team, very much a shared set of aesthetic values. And so this sort of gives us something a bit different. And hey, all Star Trek all the time. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and it's really incredible with like 3 live action shows currently in production under the restrictions that they are because of the pandemic and because of just the change processes in Hollywood, and still getting things out and getting them out, as far as they're concerned on time is just really incredible. And as far as like oversaturation goes, I'm sure that when Alex Kurtzman and Brian Fuller approached Paramount and said, hey, we're going to do this new Star Trek show, I'm sure there was trepidation about, I don't know, is Star Trek good for the 21st century? Does the audience want this? And that's been proved out. Clearly they do. So I say, run it until people are sick of it, and you can always just pull it back later. Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of growth that they've experienced and just the amount of content that they've got shows that people were hungry for this. And, we don't have to put up with the long droughts of not having any Star Trek anymore. Like, I think the audience will let them know if it's too much, but so far I just say keep flying.
Yeah. And we passed episode 800 of Star Trek right around the end of season 3 of Discovery. We've since added 10 episodes of Lower Decks, 13 episodes of Discovery. We know there's 40 episodes of Prodigy. We know there's another 10 of Lower Decks. We know there's 20 episodes of Strange New Worlds on the way, 20 more of Picard on the way, and 10 more of Discovery on the way. I haven't done the math in my head, but that's got to put us at, or maybe even past 900 already. And we just celebrated 800 episodes of Star Trek. Like, who would have thought 5, 6, 7 years ago that fast forward to today, not only would there be a lot of Star Trek, but like we would say goodbye to the 800th episode of Star Trek, and we've got the 900th episode of Star Trek sort of barreling towards us really quickly.
Yeah, I think These Are the Voyages was like 7 1/4, like 725 episodes that had been released. And so just in the course of 5.5 years, like they've done 100 episodes. So it's incredible. The only thing that would make the news complete would be an announcement of Paramount Plus expanding into more international markets.
Yes.
Because I know that there's a lot of viewers that still can't see some of these shows.
Yeah, no, thank you for raising that. I think that is the missing piece here, right? Because we know that, well, Prodigy already we know is a Paramount Plus exclusive, which means that it's only available in the US and a few other countries where Paramount Plus is already available. Right. Strange New Worlds is going to be exactly the same, right? So it does feel like, if May 5th is the day that Strange New Worlds is going to launch, I just cannot imagine, especially after the debacle of Star Trek Discovery Season 4 rollout, that they will not be in a position by May 5th where most of the territories that they want to launch in 2022, that they're up and running. Because if Discovery Season 4 was bad, the long-awaited, very highly anticipated Captain Pike #1 show, which fans basically willed into existence, and then includes international fans, and then those international fans not potentially having access to it. Like, to me, it feels like I will be shocked. I mean, well, I wouldn't be shocked because they're a giant corporation and they do dumb things. So it's entirely possible that they do another dumb thing here. But I feels like the smart money has to be that certainly in the UK and Ireland and Germany and some of these other big European markets that they've got Paramount Plus ready to go by May 5th, which is going to be a huge day in Star Trek, because on May 5th, we will get both the season 2 finale of Star Trek Picard and the series premiere of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, both airing on the same day, which is huge.
Which, in an old, dusty, forgotten age of TV, that's how you would do it. Like, the finale of Picard would be the lead-in to the premiere of Strange New Worlds, trying to get people to watch. Of course, nowadays you can watch it on your phone anywhere, but I just think it's funny that they're like, let's put them out on the same day. Why not have one close and the other start?
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, and if that was not enough for big news this week for new Star Trek shows, Viacom CBS have released a new trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 2.
Yes.
There are some moments that haunt us all our lives. Moments upon which history turns.
Well, hello, my friend.
What is this? What have you done?
Welcome to the road not taken.
Do you have any idea what's happening here? Reality has been broken.
There is a divergence. I know someone who could help us understand the change in time.
I'm gonna need some tea. Earl Grey, piping hot.
Hello, Guinan.
Your answers are not in the stars, and they never have been.
Earth 2024. A single change
Is vastly more dangerous than you realize. None of our tomorrows are guaranteed. You're gonna have to let go.
We're stronger together. You must bring us home.
This is a very bumpy century. But I think I'm getting the hang of it.
I believe you have one final frontier yet to come.
The trailer has it all. Familiar starship designs. I spotted 2 Nova class and 1 Steamrunner class ship. A time warp around the sun. A better look at the Borg Queen. And most excitingly, and least expected for me, certainly from the way that I reacted when I first watched the trailer, our first look at Whoopi Goldberg's reprisal of the role of Guinan. Aaron,
Yes.
what was your reaction to this trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 2?
I'm still having reactions, and I had a series of them as I watched it. And I didn't have time to do the frame by frame that I usually would, but I was trying to catch those little glimpses, especially that we see at the beginning of, as you mentioned, the ships pursuing what looked like La Sirena, the flight around the sun. We see, some Soong. I'm not sure which Soong it is, but a Soong looking kind of crazy. We see the Borg Queen, like you mentioned. And they're going back to 2024, which of course is, the future barely for us in LA. So it's hard to piece everything together, but we know there's some kind of time travel shenanigans going on, certainly.
Yeah, it definitely to me, it felt like watching that trailer, Brent Spiner is extending his run of playing Soong family ancestors.
Every single member of the Soong family.
Exactly.
By Brent Spiner. Yes.
Yeah, because I got the sense that just looking at the character and kind of the sort of quick shots that you saw of him, that this was not Alton Soong from season 1, that this is a Soong contemporary to Los Angeles 2024.
Yeah.
Who would be an ancestor of Arik Soong, who's one of the other Soongs we saw in Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah. Maybe he is a tech billionaire in the vein of Ed Begley Jr.'s character from Voyager.
Yeah, I saw someone, it was my good friend Claire Little, tweeted about wondering if perhaps, there's this talk about the road not taken.
Yeah.
And this being an alternate timeline. And clearly there's some kind of divergence point around this point in 2024 that sort of separates the two timelines. And Claire wondered maybe it has something to do with Future's End, and it's, Voyager never stopped Chrono Works, and and as a result, Ed Begley Jr. is ruling the roost, Mark Zuckerberg style.
With it being 2024, there's shades of past tense with the alternate timeline, and you've got to fix it, Picard. We've got a Yesterday's Enterprise vibe going on. You've got Q and Guinan. You've got the Borg are there. Also, if they're looping around the sun with time travel, you got Voyage Home. So it just seems like it's this big shepherd's pie of things that Trek has done before, but they're going to do them a little differently this time.
Yeah. How did you feel about season 1 of the show?
I thought that it was a great download of ideas that needed a little more structure and direction. Like, I thought it would have been a great 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
And then, Michael Chabon's blog posts about what the Romulans are really like and stuff like I like everything that he came up with, but trying to kind of stuff that into the narrative about Soji and Daj and putting Data to rest. They're trying to do so much. Seeing the Troy Rikers, every single like individual moment like was great, but all together it was sort of kind of a bumpy ride, I thought. But I enjoyed it overall.
I think I'm exactly the same. Remembrance, in my opinion, is the best Star Trek pilot of any of the shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like they suffered from the way the season was structured and having to go back and turn the initial 2-parter into a 3-parter, which meant they had to rush through some of the stuff later in the season.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see the sort of, seems like quite very different take that Terry Matalas brings to the show, and just the fact that we know so many of these Berman era luminaries are working on the show, like your Doug Drexlers and your Okudas, and Drexler was sort of, putting some posts on Facebook today about sort of certain shots from the trailer, and like we as fans have been clamoring for, and we didn't get this in season 1 really, which was that those stronger connections and ties to the Berman era, given these are the same characters, yes, at different points in their life, but still not so far beyond. And so like just immediately right out of the gate in the first 3 shots of the trailer, having a shot that's like a Nova class and a Steamrunner class ship, to me that feels like you're making a statement, right?
Yeah
because that's a choice, and it's a choice that I feel very good about, and a statement that I feel very good about them making. And I love Whoopi Goldberg back as Guinan, like in some ways, even though, it was on camera to Patrick Stewart asking her to come and be on the show. So you were like, well, it has to happen, right? Because they put it on television. There was still this element of like, well, we've not heard anything really about it in 18 months or 2 years. And, is this really going to happen or not? But like, no, it 100% is happening. And that's very, very exciting.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I've always thought of this, and I think they're trying to present it as sort of a sequel to Berman era Trek. But those things that you pointed out make it seem like they're really going along with that again in season 2. And yeah, having Guinan involved and also Q, you've got 2 opposite poles there. If there's some kind of time travel shenanigans going on, Guinan is the person that can kind of help you through that. So I think it all seems like we're seeing where the pieces are coming together.
And we don't have long to wait now. It's basically just a little over a month, and it's going to be right here. And we have, the end of Discovery season 4 and the end of the first half of Prodigy season 1 to look forward to as part of that too. So it's, it's not like we're sitting on our thumbs.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think that, everybody's excited that Q's back, the test never ends and so on and so forth. I think it's all a swindle. My crazy crackpot theory is that I think Q broke reality on accident, and he's trying to act like it's a test so Picard will fix it. He knows when he threatens Picard with something, or he says, oh, you always have to prove yourself, Picard will hop too. And so Q has done something wrong. Q has upset the apple cart, and Picard and his team will end up fixing it for him so he doesn't get in trouble.
I think that's not such a crackpot theory, from the way that John Delancey has been talking about the reprise of the character, kind of indicating that this is not the same Q as the one who, it's the same character, but like stuff has happened for him too in the intervening time, which has sort of led him to this point. And the character's a bit different now. I think he said something about the character being, a bit less kind of twinkle in the eye, and maybe back to being a bit more of the dangerous Q from
the lipstick Q.
Yeah, right. From early Next Generation era, but minus the lipstick, which, I think is a horrible makeup choice. Like the lipstick is an important part of the character. Anyway. So I think there's definitely there's something going on there very much, which I don't think is entirely in Q's control.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to see an out of control Q.
Yeah. And I think we're going to get some time aboard a Federation starship. There's some of these shots where there's these effect shots of like, they're in a corridor and it starts shaking, and that's not La Serena.
Yeah.
And it has a real it has a real like, Starfleet vessel vibe to it. We know we're going to get a ton of that in season 3 from Terry Matalas's tweets that he's been sending out. But I think we might get some of that in season 2 as well, which is very exciting.
If this is a broken future, like the alternate future in yesterday's Enterprise, I sort of wonder what form that will take.
Yeah.
They didn't, something that I really regretted about Picard is that all the flying around in space, we never really got to see, what does the Federation look like in the 25th century?
Right.
And I think we got some hints that maybe things aren't going so well and we're moving a little from utopia to dystopia. And I wonder if they will take advantage of that, or I wonder what's really wrong with this future that they need to change it, that it's so much worse than what we've already got in the 25th century. But of course, that will all be revealed when we see the show.
Yeah, and there's this little shot of, I guess in one of the previous trailers, they sort of, the first trailer they put out where it was no episode footage, but it was like the camera goes on a tour of Picard's like library at the chateau, and above the mantelpiece is the painting of the Enterprise D from the Ready Room.
Yeah.
And there's a shot in this trailer where that painting is replaced by a different painting of a very different looking Enterprise D that is like destroying 2 Borg cubes, and that's the painting. So it's like, this is definitely a different timeline in which some very serious stuff has happened.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Well, it's not just new Star Trek we have to enjoy in the months ahead. In celebration of the 40th anniversary of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Fathom Events, in association with Turner Classic Movies, will be bringing Star Trek II back to theaters on September 4th, 5th, and 8th for fans in the United States. The version of the movie will be the 4K Director's Edition that was released several years ago. Actually, at the time, for the 35th anniversary of the movie, also got a theatrical release. Aaron, do you think you'll head back to the theater in September for an encore theatrical presentation of Star Trek II?
Assuming that everything looks good as far as going out of my house goes.
Right.
But absolutely. I've seen Wrath of Khan in theaters a couple times, and I'm really excited to get a chance to see it again. And I don't know, is it like a remastered print, or how are they going to do that?
I think it is the 4K Director's Edition version, which was on the 4K Blu-ray set that just came out.
Sure, yeah, okay. Yeah.
But that one is a couple of years old because they did the 4K release of the Wrath of Khan. I think it was about 5 years ago now, in conjunction with the 35th anniversary.
Yeah. Well, that's good enough for me. I mean, the last time I saw it was like an actual print of it, an old print. So it was all sort of dusty and cinematic. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to check this out in the theaters again.
Yeah, it's looking great. And I saw they had the Voyage Home in theaters for the what would have been like the 35th anniversary this past year. And that was also the new 4K transfer of the movie, which was on the 4K Blu-ray discs. And that was really great. It was really great to see the movie in 4K on the big screen with the kind of like, not the crummy Blu-ray transfer, but the really nice new 4K transfer that they've done. So yeah, I think this is going to be cool. It's always nice to see a Star Trek movie back in the theater. So even though I saw it 5 years ago, I'll go see it again for the 40th anniversary, and probably for the 45th, and probably for the 50th after that.
Yeah. I know that, the last time I saw it, I think it was like a midnight movie. And so it was kind of a rowdy atmosphere. And I know that Star Trek fans take their movies very seriously, but I think that we need like a Rocky Horror style game, an audience participation game that we could play. Because at this point, everybody's seen the movie. We know what happens.
Sure.
We need ways that we can participate during the show. And so I'm open to ideas, like when Kirk eats an apple and people can throw apple slices, that could get messy, but something like that. Or when Kirk puts his glasses on, everybody can yell 4 eyes, that sort of thing.
That'd be fun. I know on the Star Trek cruise, they did one of the years of the cruise, they did a script reading of Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, and they recast all the roles with the other Star Trek actors who were on the cruise. So like Gates McFadden was playing Captain Kirk, and I think Ethan Phillips was playing Spock or something like that. And that was, I think that was, I wasn't there, but people who were there said that was a lot of fun.
That sounds great.
Well, and lastly this week, Hallmark have announced some new Star Trek merchandise, including several of their Christmas ornaments for Christmas of 2022. Completing the Mirror Mirror Storytellers Christmas Ornament series, Scotty and McCoy will be joining the crew and add new dialogue combinations shared between the characters on your Christmas tree. No ship ornament has yet been announced, but last year the La Sirena ornament was not announced until April, so there is still time for Hallmark to come through on that. In addition to the Christmas ornaments, the company is releasing a photo frame that's mocked up to look like the view screen of the Constitution-class USS Enterprise, a cell phone holder, not a charger, but a holder made to look like a Borg regeneration alcove, and new entries in their itty-bitty line of small plush characters, including Judge Q, Mira Uhura, and Mira Sulu. Aaron, do any of these catch your eye?
I like the itty-bitties. I think that they're really cute. And I like specifically the Sulu one with that nasty scar that he's got on his face. It's this nice juxtaposition of this horrible character and this cute little plush toy. And I really like the I like the dock. I wish that the dock was a charging dock, but I like the Borg phone holder though. That's a kind of a cool design.
I really like the photo frame with the view screen because I have a picture of me from the Star Trek Experience where I'm sitting on the bridge of the Enterprise D. So I think that would go perfectly inside that frame.
Yeah, and I like the. I don't have any Star Trek Christmas ornaments. I've got to fix that. But I like the mirror ones. I haven't seen the other ones. It occurs to me that these are, of course, our characters, Scotty and McCoy, in Terran Empire outfits. So I wonder. I'd be interested in mirror versions of the characters. Get a screamy Kirk. Or maybe a scarred Sulu.
Yeah, the way I think the way I understand it, these mirror universe ones work is Hallmark has this new line. I've seen it for the Star Wars ones too, where the ornaments have they basically have Bluetooth, and when they're in proximity to each other, they like interact with each other. So, and depending on which characters you have, there are different interactions that they will do, to the point where if you have all the characters, they're basically going to act out mirror, mirror for you on your Christmas tree. But if you've only got, if there's Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Sulu and Uhura, if you've got like Sulu and Uhura, you get some dialogue that way. So the more you get, the more complex the dialogue becomes between the different characters. And there's also there's the Enterprise tree topper, which kind of like pulls the whole set together. That's actually very cool. I don't know that I want my tree speaking to me time, as much as I love Mirror Mirror.
Yeah,
but it's a very cool concept.
Yeah, that's cool. I got to check those out.
Yeah, it's like the things that technology combined with Christmas ornaments can do. Of course, I'm a big fan of the like original ornaments, the ones that you plugged into the light string.
Yeah.
That like lit up and everything. Those, in my opinion, those still have not been beaten, because it's just nice to have them lit up when they're on the tree and not having to constantly press a button to make them do it.
Right. The Bluetooth battery doesn't run out.
Yeah, right. All right, well, we've talked about the facts, and now let's speculate on what's going to happen in the future of Star Trek.
You make some very good points, Captain. But it's still all speculation and theory.
So each week, my guest and I give you a wish or theory we're nurturing about any of the shows or the future of the franchise. So Aaron, let's hear your theory or wish for this week.
Me first. My wish is I want a new Star Trek movie. What is the holdup here? I know that we've been tortured by rumors and announcements and cancellations and things being greenlit and things being put on hold. And I know there's a couple different projects that are sort of in the works, as it were, right now. And there's even one on the schedule. You're telling me that somehow they're going to get a movie out by December of 2023. Okay, right. I'll believe it when I'm watching the credits to it. But we've had this renaissance on TV. There's so much Star Trek on TV. And we merged two giant companies to make this happen. So come on, man, let's get a Star Trek movie out there. That's what I really want.
Of all of the potential ideas that have been floated to date, which one are you or were you most interested in?
Well, I was interested in Noah Hawley's idea.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't come through and it doesn't look like it's going to happen, I don't know. I have to say that I like the Kelvin crew. I wouldn't mind a Star Trek 4 going back in time and getting George Kirk out. That never really appealed to me. I kind of like how the crew has gone forward and is not worried about continuity too much. But I guess if they're going to dive into their own continuity and bring Thor back, then maybe that could work. But I wasn't too hot on that. But Kalinda Vasquez is a great writer. Matt Shakman did WandaVision, and he's a talented director. And so I don't know, both of their projects seem great. I guess if I could get a genie to grant my wish.
Yeah. What would you wish for?
I would like to see a new adventure in the Star Trek universe that is apart from characters that we know. Cameos would be fine, but let's create a new main character, a new cast, or a new ship, something new to follow on screen. And I don't know if they feel that would be prudent or not. Name recognition and nostalgia are big parts of selling Trek, but it is Trek, and there is a giant audience that will show up for Trek stuff. And loving that world, I think would get people butts in seats, as they say, and also just get somebody famous. Get a famous actor that people want to see. Make Oscar Isaac the captain of the USS wherever.
Yeah, that'll put bums in seats.
Yeah, and so no particular era. Just pick something good, have a good idea, and let's launch a new mission that's apart from the faces that we know.
I am 100% with you. Because when I think about the value of Star Trek movies as part of the franchise as a whole, they're sort of ways of getting people interested in then exploring the television side, because there's obviously so much more and so much deeper you can go into it.
Yeah.
And so you want to, and that's sort of why like the Kelvin timeline movies were good in a way, because it was Star Trek, but it was not something that came with 800 episodes of baggage kind of weighing it down and needing to kind of go into deep character backstories about this, that, and the other, because that character's been in, like 17 years worth of previous stuff. So if you went somewhere new and had a new crew, you wouldn't need to do any of that, right? Like you wouldn't you wouldn't need to explain Picard and Guinan's relationship within the movie, because you're creating new relationships. But someone goes, "Ooh, I like that. I want more that's like that." Okay, then go check out Star Trek on television. That, to me, especially in this day and age where there is this like real incentive around get people subscribe to the streaming service and watching the episodes, the movies feel like a way of sort of helping to encourage that. I mean, that's, obviously the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies make $1 billion, so this is not all they're doing, but it certainly helps Disney Plus subscriptions that Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are making $1 billion, and then a bunch of people are going out and buying Disney Plus streaming subscriptions to watch the rest of the kind of, shows within that universe.
Yeah. And it is, it's a challenging proposition. I think that, most of the Star Trek films that we've got, Star Trek films are all about getting old, aren't they?
Yep.
Except for the Kelvin Universe films. And even one of those is about getting old. And so it's tough to introduce brand new characters, and they don't have this familiar reflection of sort of looking at where we've come so far and wondering if we are still able to do what we're doing. But, if you can sell a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, if you can sell an Ant-Man movie, you can sell a brand new Star Trek adventure with new characters.
100%. I'm totally with you. Okay, let me give you my theory.
All right.
Which is, mark your calendar. Viacom CBS have another one of these investor events coming up on February 15th, 2022.
Right.
Last year, we got through that investors event a first look at the main characters of Star Trek Prodigy. A few of my previous guests have speculated, when are we going to get a trailer for Strange New Worlds? I think we're going to get a trailer for Strange New Worlds on February 15th at this Investor Day.
Okay.
Perfect opportunity to unveil something new and exciting that nobody's kind of really seen before. Obviously, aside from the sort of character reveal kind of little video, we have not seen much of Strange New Worlds. And and like Star Trek Mission Chicago, the kind of big convention that's coming up in April, that's only a month before Strange New Worlds premieres. You might get a full trailer there, but I think you're going to get a teaser pretty soon, and I'm guessing it's going to be February 15th at this investors event. So we'll see if I end up being right or not.
Do you think there'll be any story details in this trailer?
I think it will have episodic footage. It won't be like the Picard, we're going to zoom around the office type thing, and then Q will laugh at the end. I think we are going to they will give us some episodic kind of footage from different episodes, but it won't be a ton. It'll probably just be like, rather than the Picard trailer that came out today, which was a 2-minute trailer, I think this will be a 1-minute trailer. And they'll still keep a bunch of stuff close to the vest, but you're going to get a look at the Enterprise and maybe a look at any changes they've made to the bridge, and you'll see a bit more of the uniforms in action and the characters actually speaking dialogue, but not too much, because I think they still want to build that excitement, and so they'll start with something a bit smaller.
Interesting, because with now with Discovery going to 10 episodes as well, they're really focused on this season arcing plot, having every season be about something. And so I'm still curious as to like what the first season will be about. You know, if it would be an overarching story, they've talked about emphasizing more episodic content. But yeah, what are they fighting against? What are they trying to accomplish in this first season?
Yeah, I think that is a really interesting question, right? Like, how episodic is episodic?
Mm-hmm,
you know, Akiva Goldsman's talked about it's episodic in the sense of it's a different story every week, but there will be character threads that will run through the whole season. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know, that to me, you could also be describing Star Trek Discovery, you know, in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where they strike the balance with this one.
Having two Noonien Singh characters announced for the show might be a hint in that direction.
Yeah, right, for sure. Yes, yeah. Very interested to see where they're headed with that one.
Yeah.
Do you have a theory or a wish for Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, or Prodigy that you'd like to share? Tweet them to me at WeeklyTrek or email them to me at weeklytrek@thetricordertransmissions.com, and I might feature your theory in a future episode. Well, that's all the time we've got for this episode of Weekly Trek. Thank you so much to my guest, Aaron Coker, for joining me today. Aaron, how can people contact you if they want to continue the conversation?
Well, thanks so much. It's been so great. And you can find enterprising individuals at EIST Pod on Twitter and enterprisingindividuals.com on the internet.
And it is a great podcast and well worth anybody's time.
Thank you.
And you can find this show on Twitter at WeeklyTrek and me at Alexander T. Perry. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. And please check out some of the other great shows on the Tricorder Transmissions. And if you like our shows, please also consider becoming a Patreon of Tricorder, which you can find at patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions. And lastly, if you're looking for Star Trek news on the internet, I hope you will turn to trekcore.com. Well, thank you, Aaron. Thank you to all of my listeners. And until next week, live long and prosper.